Welcome to the FarmHopLife Men's Forum number 3. Tonight we're talking about mental health. I am Matt Derosier of a FarmHopLife, and tonight I have with me Dylan Schnese of Steady Presence Enterprises.
You got it.
I added the Enterprises because they do a lot, which we can plug. They have like a farm. His wife's got a doula service and holistic dietary nutrition something.
That's right.
So we'll plug all that at the end. So first, let's go through a couple of current events. Now, the one you picked was interesting. Libraries banning books. Now, what made you think about this current event?
Yeah, so my wife found the article. I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it just now, but there's some new banned books. Like, I'm familiar with the traditional list of banned books, like Tom Sawyer, and I think even the Catcher in the Rye, that's banned now.
Still,
And
or it's banned again, or it's rebanned?
I think still, but it's funny because I read it when I was in high school.
Same.
And I'm glad that I read it. It was a good book. Okay, here I got the list.
So there's 10 books that they want removed, and then that librarians want removed, and then 10 social justice books that they would like.
Oh, okay. So this little graphic, Ash, is all the books?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they have, like she said, they have books that they want removed. And then 10 books about social justice. So I'll just I'll name this list here.
Sure.
For everyone. To Kill a Mockingbird, The Great Gatsby, The Catcher in the Rye, Lord of the Flies, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, Great Expectations, Pride and Prejudice, Of Mice and Men, 1984, Shakespeare. I know, 1984.
That one got me good.
1984 was interesting because they want that banned because they don't want anybody thinking poorly of government.
Does it have a reason next to each book?
I think so. Ash, did they have a reason by each book? Or maybe if you just read down.
It was just general reasons. And
okay. That's super funny.
It promotes the idea that government overreach is problematic.
Yeah. Promotes the idea that government overreach is problematic.
Oh man, that's like that reads like satire, man. Like that's hilarious.
And that's ironic because I don't know, I guess that's kind of the point of the book.
Right.
Let's see what other
ration citizen.
Yeah, and then Little House on the Prairie. So this is the one. This is the one that Ash and I were talking about. I've never read it. Have you read it, Ash?
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently they talk about Native Americans in the book.
In a flattering light.
Not in a flattering light. As points out. But isn't the point of history for us to you're supposed to capture history, how it happened, and then use it as a time capsule for now to talk about what was wrong with history back then.
Yeah, it's like a teachable moment, not so much like, hey, this is not how we think anymore. Yeah.
I mean, it's not an instruction booklet on how to be cruel to Native Americans. Like,
right.
That's not what it's supposed to be for when you're reading it.
Right. Yeah. It's not like just like I mentioned this a while ago on a different podcast, but it's like when they go to ban Mein Kampf, the people that actually buy Mein Kampf are historians that study Hitler. It's not Nazi wannabes and whatever. It's people that actually are like studying the mind of Hitler, essentially, when he wrote it all pissed off or however it was.
But
it's pretty funny.
Nicole Sauce read it last year.
Oh, did she?
And she did, yeah. And it's a good idea to understand what people were thinking in history, and what better way to understand what they were thinking than to read their actual works.
Right. Yeah.
So that we can then see what they were doing and notice a pattern with current leaders.
Sure.
Is there any correlation here? What are we seeing? And if we see that, we got to take steps to mitigate that.
Yeah. Instead of like, so-and-so holding up a book like, this is bad. And be like, everyone's like, okay. And you can actually like read it for yourself and understand and make your own assumptions. But
that's right.
That actually ties in pretty good to the next current event that I wanted to cover, was the Ministry of Truth as it's being described now. Now the U.S. government doesn't actually, they're not calling it the Ministry of Truth. They're calling it the Disinformation Governance Board, to tackle spread of misinformation in U.S., focusing on Russia and U.S.-Mexico borders, from CBS News. So it's hilarious. So like the memes have already been going around, like Hitler had a Ministry of Truth. Stalin had a Ministry of Truth. Mussolini's probably in there. I don't know, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden has a Ministry of Truth. So like it's funny. It's just funny that they get to decide what is disinformation. Now I heard an explanation today that so there's misinformation, which is just obviously the information is not correct. Apparently, disinformation is false information with the intent to deceive. So they're deciding the person's truth, and two, the person's intent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a sleight of hand. The definitions, mis versus disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's with a lot of things. What is it? You can, to sell a lie, you could say 90%. There's 90% truth there, and then fit in 10% of the lie.
Right.
And that's like with the word disinformation.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's all in the eye of the beholder of what that information is, and what. Obviously, they're going to put a bad light on information that is counter to their beliefs or counter to the way that people should believe.
Yes. Yeah, it's like the old adage, just to say it like another way, half truths make the best lies, or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this quote has something to do with this, but I heard this from Jack, that Winston Churchill said, what is it? A lie spreads around the world faster than the truth has time to put its pants on.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really been watching the news lately, and it's been It's been great for my mental health.
I actually put that in my notes. Yeah, same.
Yeah, tying into our next topic. But
I got one more thing before we get the main topic.
Oh no, definitely.
If you have more on the disinformation governance board.
No, I'll let that one go.
All right.
Yeah.
So
my wife says barf.
barf. From the New York Post today, heroic Ghost of Kiev fighter doesn't actually exist, Ukraine admits. Now, I saw this trending on Twitter this morning, and I thought that was like already proven that the Ghost of Kiev like didn't actually exist, that it was just propaganda. Like I thought everyone knew that like a month ago, but maybe the news is that Ukraine admits it, or the news is just catching up with. I don't know. But again, everyone, it was just kind of like this thing that people bought into at the beginning of like the Ukrainian war, I guess. Like, the Ghost of Kiev shut down 6 whatever's. Like the Ghost of Kiev has a Wikipedia page. So right here it says it was like updated like 42 minutes ago. The Ghost of Kiev is the nickname given to a fictitious MiG-29 Fulcrum flying ace credited with shooting down 6 Russian planes over Kiev during the Kiev offensive on 24th of February 2022. So did they just now get around to the fictitious part, or I don't know.
Okay, so this is my first time hearing about this. Like I said, I really don't watch the news anymore. And to me, this whole conflict is very analogous with World War I. And this story that you just described kind of fits in with the World War I playbook, where there was not a lot of reason why the U.S. should have entered World War I. And in fact, for multiple years, we had stayed out of it. I don't believe we went into World War I until 1917. So about 4 years after the war started. And so I was listening to a podcast, I think it was last year, and they were describing 10 different articles from, let's say, English papers about either stories that never happened or stories that were so taken out of context to drag the American people into that war. And so this story is so analogous to that era of history that it kind of surprises me that people are falling for it.
There's a whole Wikipedia article. I know, blah, 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 Wikipedia sucks, but propaganda in World War I. And then history.com. How the U.S. government used propaganda to sell Americans on World War I. From csmonitor.com. From nationalism to fake news, legacies of World War I that's still relevant. And then on reporter. Blah, 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 whatever. War, propaganda, and misinformation. The evolution of fake news.
Yeah. I mean, and then World War II, they would set up basically movie scenes using German filming crews where they would set up like blown up towns, barbed wire. They would stage it all. And then back then, the only way they watched the news was at the first 15 minutes of watching a film at the theater. And that's how they got their news. And they would show these films of this brutality, but it's all fake, and say that the Jews are responsible for it. And so...
Sorry, that sounds ridiculous, but it actually happens.
I believe, what is it? I remember all these people's names, but it's slipping now. Lenny or Remy, the main filmmaker for German propaganda, coordinated this. I think in the like mid 30s. It was the same person that filmed all the demonstration, the like Nazi demonstrations, and made more propaganda out of it. Oh, but speaking of propaganda, I saw something on Float, and it showed a Ukrainian city, and cars flipped over, and like what had looked like a bomb went off, but all of the windows were still intact, and they said, "Hey, give me the number for this Ukrainian window company. They look like a great place to do business with."
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to look up the CIA project that infiltrated like Hollywood, where it I think it was Project Mockingbird or whatever, where the CIA basically controlled the narrative of whatever Hollywood did. So I think that was it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it sounds about like the 1950s and how they filmed like the Twilight Zone and various movies. Oh, and what is it? The Blob, I think that, or the Body Snatchers. That was supposed to be about communism.
Oh, really? I saw little clips of that Invasion of the Body Snatchers sometime last year, and it is a weird movie.
It is.
Super weird.
Yeah, those 1950s movies are strange because the effects, not the effects, but the filmography is so clean. It's black and white, but it's very clean. And then all the people speak in a very clean manner. So it almost reads like propaganda.
Right.
Very conformist. Everyone's taught the same. Strange.
It's strange. So let's move into the main topic, mental health. And my first note, first, meant to promote like your own mental health, there could be like a lot of things. And in my, the notes I sent out to everybody could be from, prayer, meditation, working out, martial arts, food, alcohol, drugs, social media, even. So my note is no news is good news. Where I don't watch the news either. I just get like these stupid little headlines that show up every now and then, and I was like, that sounds like BS.
Yeah.
Off I go. Back to what I was doing. What about you?
Yeah, I haven't been watching the news regularly. I don't watch like broadcast news. We don't have cable, but like in 2020, I would go to like Google News and just like, I just need to see a peek of what's happening. I need to get a flavor, and I don't need to get a flavor of what's happening anymore. I'll hear about it. If you need to know about it, you'll hear about it.
Right.
And our mental health has been great for it. We just focus on like the farm dance that we're doing this Friday.
Yeah.
We're spending so much time on that activity that you put in to your life so much good, and it literally pushes out the negativity because there's no time for it. There's no room for it.
Exactly.
I can't even think about it because I'm thinking about what are we going to eat at the farm dance? What songs are we going to play? What songs have I put on my playlist that are going to embarrass my wife? So we have to go through that and comb out all of the AC/DC and Chuck Berry that she doesn't want to listen to.
What songs am I going to sing for karaoke? How much do I need to be drinking before karaoke so I get that right amount of buzz to not slur all my words, but have the courage enough to be able to sing this song and hit those high notes?
And for me, it's probably one.
You call yourself a Wisconsinite? Wisconsonian?
What are we? Wisconsinites? Yeah, and I'm a poor one.
I'm a poor one. That's fair.
Yeah.
I do have. We can elaborate a little bit further, but I do have a couple comments to read, and we can comment on the comments, I guess.
Sure.
So the first comment from an anonymous member of our men's forum who has yet to make an appearance. So he goes, this is what he said. My biggest issue is the balance. My biggest issue is the balance with the work from home job, averages 12 plus hours a day, farm work, family, and leisure. I have to be careful not to put too much pressure on myself with the farm. My vision outpaces my time and money. I can feel really disillusioned when I don't get the farm stuff done on time and well. I have to fight that. My religious practice is important to me. I need to feel useful, and I enjoy serving in my church. Working out helps me as well. So he touches on a lot of points there. First point being, not to get overly ambitious on his farm. That he has to, kind of rein it in. Like, I've got these grand visions, but given my job and my time commitment to my family, and having time to just relax with the family as well, go on vacations or whatnot, I really have to dial that back. Kind of let's be real about what we're able to achieve in the time that we do have on the farm.
Yeah. First, I'm going to say I'm going to challenge this individual to come on to the men's forum, because I'm making it a priority to attend these forums, so that this is part of my mental health. Talking with other guys that are in my same position, working a job, running a homestead. I need an outlet for this.
Sure.
This is what I needed during 2020 when I was seeing the world that I had knew kind of break apart, and I felt very exposed. I needed a group of men that I could talk to.
Sure.
And I guess this leads me into my next story. This is about my cousin-in-law. This is a pretty deep topic.
Okay.
I believe this is the right time to talk about it.
Okay.
So my cousin-in-law, and I didn't know any of this because we had kind of lost touch with family during 2020 and 21. And from reading his Facebook posts, he was probably going through the same kind of stuff that I was, but didn't have, members of the freedom community talking about the topics. Like I felt that I was able to. It was good. It was comforting to know that other people were thinking the same thing that I was, but he didn't have that. So he was thinking about threats from China, threats from making certain health choices that he didn't feel comfortable with. And this was taking a toll on his mental health. In February, he had a mental breakdown, and he was brought into a mental health facility. And it's a shame, because all they can do is basically, from my understanding, they basically gave him some drugs to calm down and have a few nights stay. Then his insurance expired for funding, and they let him out. that is not how you solve a mental health crisis. And I understand there probably wasn't the resources to properly take care of it, but that's the system that we have. So a couple days after that, he had another mental breakdown, and police were involved, and his friend was brought in to kind of take the situation down a level, but his friend showed up to his house where my cousin-in-law was. He took his wife's phone and threw it against the wall, and kind of destroying property and stuff. So his friend went in there, tried to calm him down, bring him out of the house, and they took a drive. And the whole plan all along was to arrest or to pull the car over so that they can help my cousin-in-law. Well, my cousin-in-law got out of the car and he was shot to death. And this can all be, I bring this up as a learning opportunity because it doesn't have to be this way. We need men talking with other men, because women, they have, I don't mean to sound sexist, but they have sewing groups. They get together for scrapbooking. They go on play dates with other moms. But men go to work. And in this case, my cousin-in-law, he went to work in a steel mill. He owned his own business. He was tied up in keeping up with the Joneses. And it cost him his life. So men need to start talking with other men. And that takes building community. And that's what we're trying to do here on this farm, is bring families together, bring men together to get it out in the open. What is causing you pain? Because men don't talk about this.
Mm-mm.
We don't talk about it. It stays pent up inside of us, and we got to get it out on the open. We got to put it out on the table, and we have to deal with it.
Agreed. That is a little bit of why I wanted to start this, was just like, just so, guys that I've already talked to, and future ones down the road, that they're welcome to come on in and we can chat about whatever we want to talk about. Now, it should also be said that I encourage my wife, Katie, and all the women that I've interviewed so far and in the future, they can also have their own thing. But that's up to them. I'm not going to start it for them. I just encourage that they do their own thing. It doesn't have to be anything like this. It doesn't even have to be recorded if they don't want. Like, that's however they want to do it, they can do it. But there needs to be more open communication between guys, absolutely. And so we don't have mental breakdowns. And so we can, even if you're probably 1,500 miles away from me, we can still talk about stuff. Right. Yeah. And so, like, hey, like, I'm really struggling on this or whatever. And, we've had these chats for the last couple of weeks. I feel like I can really talk to you. What do you like? I just need someone to hear me out on this. Like let's say like another dad or another husband or whatever. Like, so that type of support. So thanks for sharing that story. That's we've been wanting to talk about. We've been wanting to share that, so people need to know it, that
there's we can't
real consequences to not taking care of your mental health. It's not just like, I mean, not to downplay depression, because that can have its own, I guess, life-altering consequences, to put it mildly, I suppose. But there is also other avenues to the same fate, unfortunately. So these things that we gotta talk about these things.
Yeah. So I guess to return to the viewer's question about dealing with a homestead and job, I would say number one is you have to do what you have to do to keep the job, because that's what's keeping you on the land to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And this might actually be the individual that had the question, but the previous interview that you had with the Wilson homestead,
yeah,
she put out a reel that was really powerful. It was talking about how when you are self-doubting yourself, that other people are looking up to you for strength.
I did see that one, yeah.
And not a lot of reels catch my attention, but I'm gonna remember that one, because we deal with self-doubt, like we're not doing enough, or I'm an imposter. Who am I to own a business? But people under us are looking up to us, and that keeps us going forward.
Yeah. I was just on Brian's podcast, the Lots Project. And I had like super intense like imposter syndrome. Like, I haven't even done anything yet. Like, I have a plan and it's being executed. I'm in the process of it, but for the time being, I'm still in my house. Like, I haven't left this place. And so, but for somebody to like hear whatever I had to say, be like, wow, that's awesome that he's doing that. I'm gonna start trying to figure out my thing or whatever. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for you to be on his podcast, and now other people that were maybe on the fence about doing something similar to you, or even if one person now takes the step and say, hey, I'm gonna do what Matt does, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Or like, I found Brian's podcast and he's gonna go live in an RV, and I told him, I'm like, I'm just following what you're doing. So he goes, if one person does what I'm doing or follows what I'm doing and can take something from it, he goes, I'm happy. And I'm like, that's me.
That's me.
That. You got one. So yeah, what about a couple of the other points that he brought up? Working, I think he's at the end, he said working out helps me as well. So do you work out? Did you go to the gym? Do you currently go to the gym?
Yeah. So in high school, I was a power lifter.
Oh, that's right. You did mention that.
Yeah. It's funny. In elementary school, I was a I don't know, string bean, and then my uncle introduced me to weightlifting, and I had not been the athletic type in my family, and powerlifting was a great outlet for me for doing something athletic that I was talented in. However, now that I understand permaculture, I noticed this in college, that lifting for me was segregating an activity out of my life. I had to make time away from my wife, family, and at the time girlfriend to lift weights, which, looking back on it now, I would say it was selfish. It's not that selfish is a bad thing, but it was self-centered. That's the definition of selfish.
Right.
Because it took 3 hours.
Oh, because it took 3 hours. She chimes in.
This isn't an hour at the gym.
Yeah.
It took 3 hours.
It took 3 hours. My workouts were lengthy. Anyway.
To interrupt you just for a second. I have heard that if someone say one time, like, if you're spending more than an hour at the gym, what are you doing with all your time? Like, I can put in a good sweat in 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So lifting as a power lifter, you go to do, let's say, 3 reps, and then you take that, because those take so much out of you, you take a 3-minute break. And if you're at the gym, you maybe get to talking with someone, and that turns into 15 minutes. But now that I'm on the homestead, I don't work out. I'm going to be getting the uncle that got me into powerlifting.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a weight. He has his weight set from when he lifted in the 1950s that I'm going to be getting to bring to the farm.
It's like straight lead.
Yeah, right. He had spray painted them all red to look, I don't know, badass. But with the homestead, I don't work out in the summer. I am out of energy just doing the farm chores. And I noticed in 2020 we did a lot of walking. We walked to the park. We walked to this local garden next to us. But that was also not integrating exercise and walking into your life. It was, okay, I'm going to take time away from, let's say, gardening to walk the kids to a park. So it was segregating that activity out. So I get all my activity done on the homestead because I am integrating my exercise in with doing what's needed on the homestead.
Right.
But I probably will try to lift during the winter, especially if it interests my son, because then I'm integrating exercise with time with my son. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about religion? Do you guys go to church?
Okay, so this is an interesting topic because at least I come from a household that, and now mom and dad, if you're watching, all the best. But religion to us was more, you go and you do the things, but within your day-to-day life, God isn't a part of you. And so, like, my son has more religion or more faith than I did for, let's say, 25 years of my life, because he can pray to God and he can tell God a joke during his prayer, because we tell him that God is your friend, and friends tell jokes to each other. So
I like that.
Yeah, so we're in the process of finding.
Your kid has great mental health. Just if you can tell God a joke, he's got A+ mental health.
Yes, our son is something special. Both of them. Their mental health is good now, and we are building a foundation where they're going to have beautiful mental health in the future. But going back to religion, so we were just at a church this last week, and we need a special place for us to fit in. I don't know, Ash, can you chime in?
Yeah,
This is the men's forum.
No girls allowed. Yeah.
Okay, clearly I wasn't planning on doing this because I think I'm wearing exactly the same thing as the last time I was here. So we went to a larger non-denominational church this weekend because we are trying to find a home church space that works for us, first of all, on a sensory level, because me and Teddy specifically have a harder time with really loud noise and a lot of things going on around us, and specifically a lot of emotions going on around us
That they can pick up on what other people are feeling just by looking at their face.
Okay.
And so if we're at church for an hour and a half in the morning, if it's not the right fit for Ted and I, then we're like shot for the rest of the day because we've done like all of this
preparation
and like emotional work to like keep ourselves regulated. And I hate using the buzzword of empath because I'm an empath, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I cringe when I hear the word empath, but that's the only thing that I can. We're highly sensitive people. So anyway,
sure.
From a sensory level, that's like one of the things that we have to find the right fit.
Find it in a religious institution.
Yeah. And then so our kids are with us all the time because we homeschool. So the whole like, yeah, you just put them into Sunday school and then you come pick them up. Like, that is not a comfortable thing for any of us.
That's fair.
Church, yeah, it's just, it's not like we're overly attached to each other, or that if the boys had to go somewhere without us, that they couldn't do that, because they go lots of places without us to trusted individuals in our life and not to total strangers in a large brand new place.
Right.
I've been in like childcare and in education my whole life, up through college, and I know the feeling as a caregiver to not know everybody's name in your care. And if you don't know everybody's name in your care, then how do you know that they're all there? You count a lot and you hope for the best, but like, I know the inner workings. Like, honest to, like,
yeah,
seriously,
I get it.
You are always doing your numbers, and that's not me being like an overly protective psycho parent, because if you're sending your kids to school, then their teachers know who they are, and their teachers know where everyone is, because that's something that they do all day, every day. So they gave us a tour through the Sunday school, and me and Dylan just had like just not the right fit vibes for us, like, at all.
Yeah, and you can pick up on it pretty quick. Like,
yeah,
no, not feeling it.
It's not working out. So then we got to the like, okay, and then if your child learned their Bible verses, then they get to pick prizes out of these buckets. And there's like Twizzlers and all kinds of stuff that we wouldn't eat, and then a bunch of plastic junk that we don't really want in our house, and we don't really do rewards anyway, because, and it's been working out fabulously with Ted, because does he like comply with everything, single thing that we ask him or like tell him to do? No, not necessarily, but he's very intrinsically motivated as a 5-year-old.
Sure. You don't need to bribe him to get him to do stuff.
No.
Right.
And he follows his own curiosity. So do you want to learn more about that? Okay, yes, let's learn more about that. And me and Dylan both had flashbacks to when we went to Sunday school.
I was an anxious wreck as like a 7-year-old, thinking, okay, am I going to remember all my verses so that I can get my tickets to go into that prize bin? Because I really want the yo-yo that lights up and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So
I'm going to be the only kid without a toy because I didn't remember my verses. And it's just like school on Sunday. You call it Sunday school. And it's like, oh, wow, this is just as bad as regular school, except thankfully it's only an hour or two. And it's a whole different group of kids that I could get to embarrass myself in front of.
Yeah. In this classroom, the boys couldn't be together. They're 5 and 3. So they were would have been in different classrooms. And there were like 30 kids in Vinny's classroom and 40 some in Ted's classroom. And
that's a lot of kids. Holy smokes. I was thinking like a dozen.
Tops. No, it was a lot of kids. And we had gotten, our friend was like, yeah, we go to this church, and I really resonate with that friend's beliefs and everything. And so I was like, yeah, I think we should just try it. Like, we're going for the last 2 years, all we've done is like step violently out of our comfort zone and just see what happens. Right. So like, let's just go out of our comfort zone because it has like paid off in so many other things. Let's go try this. But I didn't realize it's like the gigantic church that you can see off the highway.
And they have like 3 jumbotrons so people can see from all the way in the back. Yeah, I gotcha.
It's a full auditorium of.
I'm always I'm really torn about going to like friends' churches for like 2 like. Oh shoot! I lost the other reason. I was going to say 2 reasons. One, I think I might like it. Okay, I want to try it. But if other reason that holds me back is if I don't like it, are they going to be insulted that I don't like their church? I don't like them. So it's like I'm just stuck not going. Like which is too bad because I do feel like I'm missing out on a potential community to be a part of. So to boost my mental health.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why we are trying to seek out that space, but in the end, we kind of feel like we don't fit well with most of society. So like we don't, other than I pick my groceries up. I don't even go in the grocery store anymore because I don't want to deal with people that I haven't handpicked to be a part of my life. Like people are cranky, like just keyed up about stuff all the time. You can be in the grocery store and people be like, oh yeah, that Biden. And I'm like, I didn't ask you for anything. I did not ask for this interaction.
Right.
I don't care about your opinion about this. People are mean on the road. Like, I don't know if it's just around here or it's the entire vibe of the United States, but everybody is like just jacked up and mean. And so then we get this exposure to like the general public at a church. And I'm like, we just don't fit really well here.
Yeah. So one of the ideas that we gathered from Sunday. So like we always, whenever we go into an experience that makes us feel uncomfortable, we kind of brainstorm how we could make it work for us. And one thing that we kind of talked about was, what if we, with the few individuals that we resonate with, why don't we just do like a Bible talk on Sunday at our place and kind of, make it work for us.
Sure. Do your own thing.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
How many of our own things do we have time to do, Dylan?
Yeah, I know.
Let's talk about mental health about that.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I have 2 more comments that I want to read because we're coming up close to an hour here. The first one is from Tenzin. He was on the show and he was on the first men's forum. He's from Red Door Family Farm out in Wisconsin. He said, I found that limiting the scope of my expectations for myself, dropping some less lucrative enterprises, investing in better equipment, more/better labor really freed up some time and attention span for me to do a better job of my main priorities, which helped me feel like I was succeeding in being more productive. It helped me make efficiency improvements as well that have allowed me more time with my family and for fishing. Fishing, mental health, hunting, mental health, squirrel hunting, mental health. It's also it's allowed me to be more involved with a local food pantry that I'm on the board of. It's been a great step in the right direction. I hope to continue to apply this technique to more aspects of the farm. It is not easy, and unfortunately, it takes extra time and effort to get it going. I think letting go of unproductive/unprofitable enterprises is the first necessary step to get that time back before you can invest the time and energy into the remaining higher priorities.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Right now, this year, we're doing the Tim the Toolman Cook method of throwing all the spaghetti on the wall.
Yeah.
To see what sticks.
Right.
So we have our main business of doula nutrition services. Then we have farm events, campouts, movie nights, dance. I don't know if I said that. Moms groups, and we're selling ramp salt. We have the Airbnb rooms. We have all these enterprises that we are building up. And during this winter, we're going to be able to see which ones aren't making us the money we want. And that's going to be interesting to see what we can drop. Yeah, like you said, you have to drop the unprofitable ventures because it just makes a good business sense. Good business decision.
So it just reminded me, when I interviewed Tenzin and his wife Stacy, they said one of the things that they tried was they did like a community dinner or something like that. They had like a dozen or so people come and like eat the food from their farm, and I think they brought in like a couple other places, like food from other like surrounding areas as well, because they're a vegetable farm. They don't have meat, so I think they brought in meat from like another farm.
Sure.
And everybody loved it so much, they're like, we should do this like once a month. And then they said thankfully COVID happened, because it was so much work to get that all organized and prepared and whatnot, that they're actually kind of glad that it kind of fell through, and they didn't have to make that call of canceling it.
Right. That's the balance that we have to play with our farm events, is giving enough value that people think it's worth it to attend, but not so much taking out of our cups to provide it.
Right.
So we planned our events very strategically, that they would be things we would want to do with our kids anyway, but just invite a lot of their friends to do it.
Sure.
And have them pay.
Sure.
So permaculture integration. We're integrating our kids' activities into profitable farm ventures. And I hope that it's worth it at the end of the summer.
One more comment here from a guy on Twitter that I follow. I think he follows me back. I don't know. It's Zachary, but it's at ZGXRD. Don't know what that means, but
okay.
So he just wrote, busy becoming the best version of myself physically, mentally, and spiritually. Life is good. And I said, what do you do to support your own mental health? And he said, read the Bible, spend a lot of time outdoors and in the sun, reduce screen time, eat real food, maintain a positive mindset, etc. And so I said, I'm going to mention this on tonight's episode. Can I give you credit? He said, sure. So one thing that I forgot to put in my notes was, I think I wrote down food, but I'd never elaborated on it. I listened to the Weston A. Price Foundation podcast. Oh crap, what is it called now? Wise Traditions. And they did like a whole 10, 12 part series on mental health. And I think the one of them that I listened to was food. And if you like, by eating the right foods in the morning, you set the stage for the rest of your day mentally. Like the food that you eat in the morning affects like your mental health. Mm-hmm. And so like, you know, if you got like I made, what's also funny is it's not just for me anyways. It's not just the food and eating the food. Sunday morning, I get up, have my coffee, and you know, do a little bit of work for the podcast and stuff, and then I get my son up and we make breakfast. Sometimes it's waffles, which I'll eat waffles every once in a while. But last Sunday we made venison breakfast sausage with cheesy eggs. Just made like a big old pile. Like I think I used a whole dozen eggs, and it was like a 2-pound thing of breakfast sausage and just tons of cheese. It was awesome. And so like making that with my son, great for my mental health. Just the act of making it and knowing like the eggs came from here. I shot this deer. No idea where the cheese came from, but But I know this is going to be a great nutritious meal for like to share with my family, and that was just like that did wonders. I liked it. I liked just doing it.
Yeah, that's the one aspect that's kind of been stripped out of our food for the last 50 to 70 years is the procurement of the food.
Yeah.
The cooking of the food, and then the sharing of the food with family and friends. It's been completely stripped away. And like you said, preparing food with kids, it's first of all, it's teaching a skill that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. Like I didn't really cook a lot with my family, but I remember I used to vacation out to New Jersey with my aunt and uncle. And when I found a bottle of olive oil, I had never used olive oil before, but I used that in my eggs. And I can remember the flavor of the olive oil when I cooked the eggs with my aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And like that memory sticks with me. And then for my son to be able to have those memories going forward of, hey, we cooked the first quail from his quail.
Right.
And I put it on the pan and he took the tongs and flipped it. And, you know, I'm going to have that memory. It was fun making the meal. It was fun stripping the bird of meat and giving that to him. And then I even gave him a leg, and he ate it like a, little carnivore.
Perfect. That's awesome. When you were telling me, it reminded me of the little event that happened when I was making breakfast with Milo. So we mix up the dozen eggs because I just do it scrambled. It's just too easy. I'm not doing sunny side, blah, like, no, just scrambled. So we got this bowl of just scrambled, just beaten eggs essentially. And so I turned my back to go, I don't know, get the next part prepped. And I just hear him laughing and like hitting stuff. And I'm like, so I turn around, here he is. He's got his hands in the bowl of raw egg, just slapping it, going, ha, 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 ha. And then he's got egg all over his hand, just wipes it on his shirt.
Oh, no.
I wasn't terribly happy about it then, but it's funny now. And it's not like I scolded him or whatever. I'm like, Milo, now we got to wash your hands. But I kind of caught myself after I did it. I was like, whatever. You were going to have to wash his hands anyway, so what's the matter?
Yeah, cooking with kids is it's almost like a dance where if there isn't something, pressing at the moment, you're taking big deep breaths for when something will happen.
Sure.
Because it will. And so then it's like managing your expectations and managing yourself so that when something does happen, that you don't erupt on this kid that's trying to learn how to cook.
Right. Yeah, I just got him comfortable with cracking eggs after not, like, he dropped an egg once and he still talks about it. Like, we didn't even make a big deal about it. Like he held this egg and he dropped it on the floor and it broke on the rug, like that's in front of the sink. And we're just like, okay, that's fine. We'll just have to clean it up. And now every time he just points to the rug and goes, egg. Egg. But yeah, is there anything that you wanted to wrap up on? We just hit an hour.
No, I think we covered it. Yeah, go ahead.
Your gut makes neurotransmitters, and your gut microbiome has a direct relation to your physical and mental health.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Just nutrition fact.
Yeah, did you hear all that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. That your gut microbe is responsible for creating neurotransmitters?
It produces and interacts with neurotransmitters.
Okay, produces and interacts with neurotransmitters. So your gut microbiome, which when they were testing Roundup, they said that, you might have to help me out on this, that its mechanism is to shut off
shred the cell wall.
Yeah, shred the cell wall of pests.
Yep.
Yeah. But that it has the same effect in our microbiome. And so, 20 years later, they are now saying this, and they like, oh, yeah, I guess that could do the same thing to your gut microbiome.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops is right. So it goes back to food, eating the cleanest food possible, maintain your gut microbiome, is great for your mental health. On a physical level.
Yeah, you got to take care of that 3-pound ball of fat in your head. So, what do you want to plug, Dylan? Do you remember all your lines?
Ash is waving her hand like, yeah. So again, my name is Dylan Schnese. I'm with our family business Steady Presence, and we are here to build community through our farm events, our doula and postpartum nutrition care, and our Airbnb events. Come out and stay with us in the country for a couple nights and leave the kids with grandma.
There. Steady Presence.
Perfect.
I'm just playing around with the scroller ticker, I guess. So I am Matt from FarmHopLife. You can find us everywhere. I'll have links in the show notes. FarmHopLife.com. Check us out. Thanks for being here, Dylan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me again, Matt.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's just hold on one second. And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. I appreciate you too. See you later.